Hello students, welcome to day 8 of our lecture notes. In this unit we are going to, or this segment, we are going to be looking at how scientists study ecosystems. So we are going to start as we always do, with a bell ringer. So make sure you answer this as your teacher expects. And the question is, how is the phosphorus cycle different from the water, carbon, and nitrogen cycles? So you could reference the last presentation or a presentation from day 7, which would have been the previous day to this presentation from your class or from the video notes. So in this, a couple key terms, Holocene and Anthropocene. And what you're going to know how to compare as well as contrast advantages and disadvantages between field research and lab research. You can look at how to explain why mathematical tools are important in studying natural systems and describe how a better scientific understanding of the planetary boundaries can help measure the health of an ecosystem. So let's dive in. So basically, the first thing we're going to address is how scientists, or ecologists specifically, study the environment. So scientists such as ecologists use a variety of approaches in increasing their understanding of the ecosystem. So field researchers go into the natural setting to study one or more features. So over here in the picture, you would be looking at field researchers. These are people who are going out into the natural setting. Ecologists have numerous methods of field research. They take samples and they identify species in an area. They do population counts, they observe feeding behaviors, they even use tracking devices on animals. So with technology, we've had some advances. So it has allowed scientists to get data in new ways. So satellites and aircraft, especially drones lately, are equipped with sophisticated cameras that help them scan and collect data about the Earth's surface and maybe even some organisms that are living on it. They also use geographic information, or GIS systems and software to capture, store, analyze data. Think about Google Earth, for example, or any other satellite technology for that matter, that can actually look at areas of land, and you can then compare those pieces of data to other past years. So these advancements in technology really help scientists understand what is happening on the Earth. Some researchers attach even small radio transmitters to animals to track where and how far the animals are traveling. So there are shark trackers that I like to follow myself on the Atlantic coastline that go all the way up and down. And I'm always checking them when I head up to Cape Cod, where there's often great white sharks hanging out in those areas. So those tools are used by ecologists so they can keep an eye on those populations and their behaviors. So ecologists often not only do field work, but they also do lab research. And in the lab, they can actually set up, observe, and make measurements. They can model ecosystems, so they can control more of the variables. So in a good scientific experiment, what you ideally have is only one variable being tested at a time. Now, in a environment in the field, it's not always possible to control all possible variables. So scientists do the best that they can at controlling as many as they can in the field. But that's where the culture tubes come in, or bottles, aquariums, greenhouses, or whatever they want to use, where they can simulate indoor and outdoor chambers that are controlled with only one variable that is different between the groups. So, testing planetary boundaries. So basically, scientists speculate that we've been, for the last 10,000 years or so, in an epoch or a period of relatively stable climate and environmental conditions. And for us, that's a good thing, right? Because that stability allows us to make predictions, grow crops, because we can make those predictions about how the environment's going to behave. And the organisms are able to adapt to those environments without having too much trouble. All right, but if we change the environment too quickly, those organisms aren't going to be able to adapt quickly enough and can become extinct, or population could be greatly decreased. So stable environmental conditions is super important. Most geologists argue that we are still in the Holocene, and others think we're in a new epoch, and that new epoch is called the Anthropocene, and basically that's known as the Age of Man. This is known as the Industrial Age, also known as the Industrial Age, and began in about 1750 AD. Humans are consuming a much greater share of the Earth's surface than ever before, so it's causing the Earth's changes. Just thought. So in 2015, there's about 28 scientists led by Will Steffen and Johan Rockstrom, identified boundaries or ecological tipping points of 9 major planetary systems that play a role in supporting life. So they found that if humans exceed too many boundaries, we could possibly trigger rapid and long-lasting environmental change that will make the planet less able to support life. So if we were in the Anthropocene, the outcome for humans as well as animals and other living organisms is thought to be unknown. We're not sure what's going to happen, right? We don't have a clear understanding of what happens when we hit these tipping points, because it's never been done before. So ecologists are working hard to figure out ways they can actually slow down the progression of planetary degradation and try to create a more sustainable Earth so we can keep Earth habitable. So that brings us to the end of this unit. And as we progress throughout the course, we're going to be exploring some of those topics we've mentioned more and more to kind of apply that to environmental science. But go back, review, and I hope that was helpful.